No, I have left the Kiev on the first days for like 3 months, and I've been to my village in the Cherkasy region near Kaniv. The village is called Revko. I mean, the first day was obviously explosions and air alert, air raid alert, but it's also like when I woke up. Um, at that time, I was living at Arsenalna in Kiev. I packed my things, and I was actually ill. I had a fever. It was very hard for me to understand what was going on. But yeah, I packed my things and I went. I went to the metro station, and for me it was quite interesting that the city was very calm. There were not a lot of people because I was expecting some like Armageddon type of stuff with lots of crowds and people all over around gathering and going to metro, for example, as well. But yeah, it was just peaceful. Someone was drinking coffee near the subway station. Someone was like smoking cigarettes and so on. Even there were no explosions, of course, because it's just like a small village in the center of Ukraine. There were no explosions. There were no air raid alerts or whatsoever. But we've seen like some planes flying, or one time the rockets were flying just above us. Like if I remember correctly, there were 8 of them just flying somewhere, and it's always in the village where it's not so sound polluted as in the city. You get more sensitive after some time spending there, like after a week you get some time, and you start like hearing everything you can, like hearing a grasshopper jump or a lizard move or a snake, and you can already tell the difference between all those sounds. So yeah, each sound, each artificial sound, like the rocket flying or the jet, like the plane, it was something different, and everyone was looking at the sky just to check. But yeah, apart from that, everything was calm, and at some points it felt strange because you understood what was going around, what was going in the country and in some of the areas in Kiev, for example, as well. But yeah, you didn't have like a direct connection to it by the sounds. I mean, it was visibly and how to say, not soundly, but it was seen that there are less people. It was not that crowded, so, and you can hear that. But what worried me the most was the. I got really used to the sound of silence, and especially at night when there's like this. At that time, after 10 p.m., I think, no one was allowed to on the street, and whenever I heard like a car, it was for me it was very disturbing. So yeah, each time I've heard the car at night, for me it was a little bit of shock, and I only got over it like only a few months ago, because even up till that point, each car at night was for me something strange. Um, and if we're talking about like the general city sounds, I don't know. Yeah, I think it got quieter due to the lack of people. Um, I mean, it's like there are two feelings towards science. First, it's kind of like a safe feeling that there's nothing happening, but at the same time, it's the feeling that nothing is happening right now. It's like the sounds before the storm, you know. And each time it gets totally quiet, you feel that something is wrong, because you have to hear the life going around you. Yeah, so those are like those are two opposite feelings, but they are somehow combined in one. And but yeah, you don't experience silence that much these days. Only when you go out of the city, probably. It's also like there are different types of noise, but as I already told, in the city is noisy all the time. So this is like the basic state of the city. So when you hear noise, you hear that there's life going on around and that everything is okay. But then there are some like different type of noise, I don't know, which comes from like rockets, drones, explosions or something like this. And yeah, that of course it disturbs everyone around, but you get used to it and you can already tell the difference between everything. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, even right now you hear some people talking on the street, and yeah, that's great to hear.
So, like daily noise is something comforting to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm probably more of a visual type of person, but of course, everything visual is always provided and connected to the sound. So when I was at the village at like the very first few weeks, I didn't know that there were like a training base for Ukrainian military near, and one time I saw a signal rocket. You know, those type of rockets which are just like made as the signals before you before any maneuvers or something like this. So they were training and they launched this signal rocket, and yeah, and I didn't know that they were there and that there were Ukrainian military there. So yeah, for me it was a little bit disturbing, and I really remember this bright light and the sound, just like it sounds quite similar to any other type of flying object, but yeah, it was it's probably the one thing I will never forget. I think we've talked about it like a couple of days before, that sometimes when you're, for example, there's an air raid going on, and you're in your house and you go to the bathroom, for example, and you just hear sounds of explosions or something flying past or so on and so on, then as a person with quite an imagination, I imagine something like catastrophic happening there. So sometime in order to calm down, I have to look through the window, look to the through the window to see that everything is fine, everything is great. So yeah, for me, sound is more abstract in some way because you can imagine anything going on there. Yeah, and when you see it visually, it like calms you, and yeah, you cannot imagine that much because you already see that there's nothing there. So sound is in some point, to some extent, is more intimidating and sometimes more stressful to experience, probably. I always loved this feeling, the one I told, like when you come to the village and your ears are so used to all the sound around in the city, and after a week you get so sensitive to every sound around you because there's more silence there, so you get more sensitive to anything around you. And yeah, but in the city right now, yeah, it is similar at some point because you have to be aware of everything around you. And yeah, I have. It's not like it's not related to war or whatsoever. But whenever I ride a bike, skateboard, scooter, or anything, I cannot wear headphones because I need to hear everything around me. Because you have to be in total control of the situation. At some point, it's quite similar here.
So your relation to music also changed, like to listening to music in a way?
I only listen to the music in like in a subway or at home, or if we're like hanging out with friends and we're listening on a speaker, and that way you can hear both the music and the surroundings. That's probably the best way, because you can still enjoy the music but hear everything going on around. Probably not that much, but we talk a lot about music, quite a lot, but not about like daily sounds. But sometimes, I mean, I have some friends who record sounds on a recorder, just like a sound library. So we share, or I have a friend who has like a Telegram group with those recordings, so I listen to them from time to time.
So in a way, sound still became a way of communication.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, communication is like information, and sound definitely is the information. Especially right now when you can hear the sound somewhere but you can't see it, and it tells a lot. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, the speed of light is faster than the speed of sound, so I would better look. I mean, to a very basic and primary language, it just tells like when you know the difference between the sounds, you just know what is happening. Like you can distinguish the drone sound from the rocket or from the plane, but it's like it's not that much of an information to you because you actually cannot do anything about it. You just can hide in the bomb shelter, but you can hide in any case. It doesn't depend what is flying towards you or towards the area, the city. So to some point it is indeed like a language, but it's very how to say, very narrow focus. So
Yeah, a friend of mine, he told me that sometimes he feels like it's like the enemy or Russia is communicating with you, especially when those MiG planes just
yeah.
they are starting and then the sirens goes on in the whole country, and sometimes I feel like it's almost like verbal aggression, you know. Would you agree on that, or how do you feel about that?
I probably don't see it that way, but each time the MiG comes, I usually think that something will happen in the night, because most of the time, I mean in Kyiv, most of the time they do the bombings or like they send drones at night, so the day they just check in with those MiGs, and then like it was yesterday, there was three sirens during the day, and then there were drones during the night, sent from three different ways. So yeah, but I mean the sound of the sirens, I got so used to it that it's not something that of a deal to me. It's just like I've heard it so many times, so nothing special. Oh, but I remembered. I remember the time when, you know, they were checking how the system works, and they were sending the messages via phones, and I got so scared because it never happened before. Like the first time it happened, it never happened before, and at like the exact moment, I was sitting in a cafe, something probably like this, in a crowded place, and like 40 different phones started vibrating, and the sounds, and I was thinking that it was maybe a sign of a nuclear bomb coming or something like this, and I was so scared. But then I read that it's just like we're checking the systems. That's more this story is more related probably to the question you asked about, like the impactful sounds that I remember. Yeah, so I remember that. Yeah, it's something similar to a scream, but also, yeah, you know this story about the boy who was screaming wolves, wolves, like a little boy who was a shepherd, yeah, the one with the sheep, yeah. So, and he started screaming just for fun, wolves, wolves. The whole village came, and he was like, it's just a joke. They came back. He did it again. They came. It was a joke. They came back, and when the wolves came, no one believed him. That's something similar, because you hear it so many times, and if you compare it to a scream, at the end you don't believe it. I mean, you understand that it is true, but sometimes you're just like. I mean, it's a bad habit, and it's not what anyone should do. But I mean, probably a lot of people feel this way, especially when everyone has like hundreds of those groups and telegrams where they say it's just a MiG, and you think like, oh, it's MiG. Why should I go to a bomb shelter or something like this? They're just checking us. So yeah. But I mean, it's definitely bad, and no one should do it. But unfortunately, it's that's how it is.
But it happens really quickly because I also do it already. I mean, it's like I'm always in the state of as soon as I hear some explosion, I would go. But before that, it's like too much.
Yeah, before.
Like, what should I do? Like, always go to the shelter immediately as the siren goes off.
Have you seen this? Like, it was a meme probably, but then Zhenya Samborsky, like a Ukrainian artist, used it in his painting where he painted like text, like a dialogue. It says like explosion, and the guy says, "Okay, if there will be a next explosion, we're going to a bomb shelter. Explosion." The next one. Like, we'll wait for another one. Yeah. I had also the story when I was in a subway going to Zoloty Vorota station, and I was already at like this mid-level between those two escalators, you know, this mid-level, and I saw lots of people, and I said, oh, okay, then there's like an air raid. So I decided to wait. Yeah, and I was waiting, and I waited for like an hour, and so there were no explosions and nothing. So I thought, okay, I can just go for one cigarette. And as soon as I walked out of the subway, I heard one of the loudest explosions during the war. I mean, which I heard. Yeah, and I ran back to it. And that was the only explosion. So from like the whole 3 hour air raid alert, not alert but air raid, I came specifically to the moment when there was an explosion, and all other time I was sitting in the subway. No, more of enemy attack, because you only associate it with war. You never heard it before, and why would it happen if there was no war? So yeah, everything comes from the enemy. It's like I don't want to swear, but I will. It's like a common phrase, "ебейший прилет," which is like when you try to explain the how bad the explosion was or something like this. But yes, we played football with my friends, and someone got hit in the head with a ball, and someone said "ебейший прилет." I mean, of course, it's bad to compare it in any way, but it's probably the reality that we're all in, and we're so used to it that we do it from time to time. But yeah, ебейший прилет. I mean, it's probably like a defense mechanism humans have, because if no one laughs all the time, everything will be so sad and bad, and so of course we do laugh at everything. I mean, at our losses, at our wins, at some common situations. Of course, there are some themes which are not like not even. I'm not even talking about like morally accepted, but no one would ever think about joking about this. But yeah, in most of the cases there may be some jokes, especially when you have some groups, like, you know, there are news groups who with all the news that they publish like a meme or something. So you get used to the humor in the even in the like in the news when you're reading about something. But yeah. But I think, yeah, that humor helps people a lot, so it's not bad. It's even good. So I hope no one is angry about it. But yeah.
Last question. What do you think about the soundscape right now? What do you hear from outside?
It's very quiet for this place. For those who don't know, we're located in Andriivski Uzviz, and you may imagine how crowded and how many street musicians and so on it usually has. And now it was raining, so it's all calmed down. And yeah, I like it much more. Now there's some car, which is also not that often, because it's closed for most of the people, and only the people who work late or something like here can enter it with a vehicle. So yeah, but now it's a nice soundscape. I like it a lot. And the machine is somewhat similar to the sounds of birds, those squeaking sounds.
Thank you.
Thank you.